Welcome back to Super Sentai Review, episode 266. Yes, there will be an interview after my comment corner. Don't worry about that. I'm reviewing you guys. So, with this one discussing episodes 39 to 42 of Boukenger. The end of the Quasar's arc. Yep. 39 is a prelude, and the main arc itself is 40 to 42. 39 is mostly put a clip show with basically the there's a couple of plots that one. The one big plot was you have this Prometheus rock. If you get angry, it'll explode like 1 meter, basically the whole lounge. So they have to keep it like entertained, figure out who sent it, and it's really in the episode that their Q basically sent it. It was sent over from a different branch in Japan. Meanwhile, though, the clip shows like, oh, did Gundam send it? No. Did Rainbow send it? Nope. Dark Shadow? Nope. The Quasars? Nope. None of the bad guys said it. Was basically the Doctor said it. It was basically a practice exercise. It was a test exercise of all it was. Meanwhile, though, the Quasars' plot is simply recruiting the various different negative syndicates to do something. It's viewed for the next episode of what exactly that is. What is that exactly, you might ask? Well, basically looking for very with Precious, the Philosopher's Herb, a staff, and like this Mercury thing. Dark Shadow, yeah. And they apparently don't know that they're all being played by the Quasars. So they poured it into the first thing they stole, which also is another plot in the main thing, where it's revealed in episode 40 that the Western Tribe King has been unleashed, Ogi, who is revealed to be an old friend of Eiji's mom. And it's also revealed he had a thing for her, despite being her childhood friend. Well, also being her childhood friend. Now, in Japan, in fiction, this is very common where childhood friends will fall for each other and get older. And for him, apparently she's the only female in the whole entire tribe. And I'm like, then how do they reproduce? And in fact, he hates Eiji because he considers basically him to be his mother's sin. The fact that she made him with a human and they had a child. That's what he's angry about. So basically, Eiji seems like he destroys his body, and the chief basically, of course, are told, "Oh, go look for this Precious." And of course, Chief disobeys orders, and then eventually the other team is calling to help Eiji. Well, he kind of in a way defeats the creature, but not really. Basically, turns him to stone, takes him to dimension where supposedly his mom is, and they think, "Oh, it's his mom," and she acts very weirdly toward him, where she's being on top of him. I'm like, I get the fact you haven't seen him since he was a kid, but do mothers in Japan act this way when they haven't seen their kid for over 10 years? I have no idea. So the guy goes back to his house, and apparently he's wearing his robe. He goes back where his outfit he wore back in his debut episode, back in episode 19. Yeah. So, and also the Western King, he probably's got the same necklace that his father is known for having. But here's the thing. Kai made 2 of them. One for the Western King, one for her husband. Yep, and eventually and of course the Quasar is like, free Eiji, and of course he yells free Eiji, nah, it's up to the Western King. He has to do it on his own. Which, okay. So they had nothing. They had, according to they had nothing to do with him being sealed. It was all the Western King, but that was basically part of their plan to basically get out of the way so they can unleash their plan. And eventually, their plan is to create a homunculus. Yes, and we have the final, let's just say their final Quasar robot. It's not really Quasar robot. It's just something made with their technology. Yeah, they call this thing, technically the name of this thing is called Homunculus Jet Over. Which, of course, basically, it's just a combination of things here. Now, this thing here, I looked it up. Apparently, it's all based upon stuff from Mass Man. Yes, it is based upon... The Homunculus is based upon the Galaxy Robo. The Jet is based on Muskie Fighter. And the combined form of it is based upon Great 5. Yeah, that was the thing with the Quasars, where their robots are based upon mecha from previous Sentai. One of whom I haven't watched a review yet, but that's not what they are. And you're thinking, okay, that's interesting. But what about the monsters that was used for... Well, I think in the case of the ones from Dark Shadow, I'll get to more of them next time. But yeah, as what they're based upon, well, I'll talk more about that later. Yeah. But these episodes by far are just really good. And eventually put the Humongous destroyed, and eventually Guy, the leader of the Quasars, he's defeated by Edgy. Because of course he is. And the Air One is defeated by... Yeah, the other one's defeated by the Rangers. And the Quasars. Permanently in the series. But here's a fun fact. From what I've read, Guy's gun ends up in the hands of a villain from a different series. Somehow, some way, despite the fact it's seen here being tied to a grave, basically Guy's gun and Lee's sword, somehow the gun ends in the hands of a villain of a different series. And you're thinking, what? Seriously? Yeah, also, 40 has the one-off appearance of the evil Boukengers. Because, of course, we gotta have this stuff. Oh, and his weapon does not come back in the series. Not really. Apparently, his Ishi form is based upon one tiger from... He's based upon the Tiger Zord from Die Ranger, and his modified form is probably, from what I can tell, let's see. It is based upon the combined. So, like in the case of the robots, the Astra is based upon, like, mecha. And as for the Furious Demon God himself, well, he is based upon Mystic Q Warrior. Well, basically, he's based upon the dragon. Yeah. And the model for his Quasar form is the frickin' Die Ranger Megazord. I'm like, that's interesting. His bazooka is modeled after the... So basically, in the case of the Quasars themselves, they're basically based... Oh, it's a character used as a firearm for a woman from named Echidna from the series Cure Ranger. Yeah. Cure Ranger is the one I'll be getting into the future more about that. It's one that was loosely adapted for Cosmic Fury, but I'll get into the future. But as for the other two, Hyuga, one of their generals, is he based on anything? Well, he is based upon the Turtle. The Turtle Zord from Die Ranger. As for the Western Ashra, as for the Western King Oshra, he is based on... Ooh, get this. The evil form of Gao Hunter from Gao Ranger. Yep. Basically the Duke Org in that one. Yeah, basically the robot form for that one. That's what he's based on. I'm like, wow, that's cool. So the main one's based on Die Ranger, and of course the other one's based on other ones. Cool. I will talk more about what the other characters are based on. When next time I come back, I will talk about Dark Shadow's end in the series. Talk about what their monsters are based upon. Yep. But in the case Quasars, in a nutshell, they're pretty good villains. Nothing really wrong with them per se. Yep. But yeah, this particular view next episode is Comic Corner, and then it's on the Jujutsu Kaisen next view. Bye.